And we are live. Welcome to this weekly interview that is brought to you by the CUNY School of Professional Studies. Today we have a very special guest, and that guest is Matt Lewis, the one and only Matt Lewis, who is in our Office of Faculty Development and Instructional Technology, better known as OFDIT. But since we love acronyms here at SPS, I rather say the Office of Faculty Development and Instructional Technology. Is that correct, Matt? Am I
That is
using
correct.
the acronym or using the name correctly?
Yeah, we love our acronyms for sure. So it's OFDIT is the name we like to call ourselves. So it's the Office of Faculty Development and Instructional Technology.
Excellent.
And I'm an instructional design and multimedia manager in said office. So
That's awesome. So today
Mouthful.
we are for the first time we have been conducting this weekly interviews for about 3-4 months now. But today we're doing for the first time, we are simulcasting or live streaming simultaneously into three social media platforms. We're doing it on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So if anyone is listening to this or watching this and wants to make a comment or ask a question or just say hi on the comment section of wherever you're watching this from, please do so now, and we would love to hear from you. So if you are on LinkedIn watching or YouTube or Facebook and want to say hello, we would really enjoy that. And also, of course, we would enjoy listening to your questions and trying to do our best to respond to them. So, Matt,
Absolutely. Yeah.
let's start, as I typically like to do, by listening to a bit of your story. How did you get into higher education? Within higher education, why media and production? Or maybe it was the other way around. You started with media and then moved to higher ed. So whatever that order was and why, I think our audience would love to know.
Yeah, I'm glad you prefaced this with a little bit of the story, because it is kind of a long story. So I'll try to do my best to give it just a little bit. I think it was sort of both at the same time. So I come from a family of educators, and also sort of grew up always with a camera in my hand. So I've always had, the eye for a photographer. But I guess in college I pursued sort of an alternative path altogether. I went into environmental health and safety, and I worked in Silicon Valley for a number of years as a developing online asynchronous training, and that's where I got into being an instructional designer. I did my master's degree at Massachusetts in Boston, so I was on the East Coast first, Bill, and in there I also taught. I was a teacher for about 5 years, and I taught English as a second language, but I did it overseas. So I taught English in Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, and then for a couple of years in Turkey. So I've got classroom experience doing teaching in higher ed, and then instructional design in the corporate world, and always through all of that, this love for media and creating media. And it was probably my last job where I really sunk into a style of teaching called, or at least using a strategy in teaching called digital storytelling. And so we had a pretty big movement of the faculty and students all creating these digital stories, and I really got into media production. And that was probably about, 8 or 10 years ago. And so I really dove into creating media and being the media person. So that's where my skill set lies. And now at CUNY, we are in this lovely studio now that we have with this amazing screen that's behind me, and so we get to experiment and try new things and innovate with video production, starting now. This is the first time we're doing a live stream in here too, so it's an exciting event for. I should give a shout out to my colleague who's on the ones and twos behind the camera, Sharon Joran. She's here, so she's the one back there making sure the camera's working. That's
fantastic. And let me ask you, Matt, how's your Korean? Are you too rusty on it, or?
I am so rusty. I I knew how to say like annyeonghaseyo, that's like hello, basically. But at the time when I lived there, you really get into survival language. And that's something, like sort of a discovery in how people learn. I really learned that, when it's really meaningful to you and you need to use it, you're going to learn it pretty quickly. So things like getting around, directions, counting numbers, that kind of stuff, I was pretty good with in Korean. But as soon as you stop using any sort of language like that, it at least for me anyway, it's gone. But,
so you came back to the States and got into this wonderful world of media production for higher education and course development and design and multimedia.
yes.
And now you're playing with a new toy. So tell us a little bit about that new toy that we're using at SPS.
Well, we have an LED wall behind me, which is about, it's 16 by 9 in terms of aspect ratio. So I'm not exactly sure what the measurements are, but it's around 11 feet by 8 feet. So it's pretty big. I actually have a couple pictures here in my slide deck.
Okay.
If you just give me a sec, I can find it. So I'll just put this up. So behind me is, here, I'll just step over the side here. You can see I'm standing in the middle of the room here, and we have Darian on the camera this day. We have the light set up. We have, right now we're using a Sony A7S II camera, which is a mirrorless, very great in low light, and it's just a great camera. So that's what we're using today. But yeah, this is, I kind of forgot what the question was. All right.
You were telling us about the new toy and how you use it, and but before we even get into more details as to the new LED background and what you are experimenting with on that particular technology, maybe you can share with our audience what is the process that we go through at the School of Professional Studies. As some of our audience knows, SPS is the leading online school within CUNY, and we have been doing online teaching and learning for almost 20 years now. We have 28 programs and have been for several years now recognized by US News as one of the top online programs in the nation. So I would imagine a good portion of that is thanks to you and what OFDIT does, and of course our faculty and staff and our students. But tell us about what is the process to develop such a fantastic content for our online courses?
Yeah, the process is pretty lengthy in terms of, like step 1, 2. I can give you sort of the big picture. But basically, we start with our faculty in terms of like deciding on what course they want to develop, or a revision to an existing course. And there is our team inside the OFDIT, which is the Office of Faculty Development and Instructional Technology. I like to say that fast. So inside OFDIT, there's a team that's our instructional design team, and they're overseeing that whole soup to nuts online development. So and really the guiding principle is backwards design. Start with the end in mind. And they're putting their goals, their outcomes, and their assessments in the foreground, saying, hey, these are the things that the student needs to walk out of this 15-week or 7-week or 3-week course. They need to have this goal. They need to be able to do these outcomes. And here are the assessments that are going to tell us that. And once we have that pretty much figured out, then we start to build out that course in terms of week 1, week 2, week 3, et cetera, or module 1, unit 1, however we want to describe it. I'm on what on our department we affectionately call the media team. So the media team then steps in and consults with those faculty developers that are building a new course. And we look at sort of, hey, these are some opportunities to do video here. And we can then meet, talk with them, figure out how we can support them. And our team really can do soup to nuts for video. We have this glorious studio here. We now can create some really cool content. We also have a studio that we've been using on the 4th floor. We're on the 2nd floor here. That is a smaller space that we've been creating content, since I've been here.
Right.
So it's then a question of what the video is going to be, what's the goal of that video, and writing a script, and the typical sort of production process flows.
And I know you have a website that is for internal use for our faculty and our staff. I don't know if you would like me to share that on screen.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is, I forget which site that was. Let me.
There you go. You probably see it now on screen.
Yeah.
Update
Okay.
Media Studio.
Yeah, this is actually a public website. So this is a site that we can use. Anybody in the world could look at if they wanted to. But this was one of the pages in our Faculty Commons site, which is really this whole website. This Faculty Commons is, we can share this out in the chat if you like. But it's really designed to support our faculty and any questions they have about our learning management system, which is Blackboard, the tools that we support within that. We have a video hosting service called Panopto. We use asynchronous video discussion boards through VoiceThread.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, did I miss anything? We have a captioning service that faculty.
Can you show us the rest of the page? Can you drag down the
sure.
page?
Yeah, so this is highlighting the studio that we have upstairs. There's a short video here talking about the kinds of things we can do in the studio, which sort of mirrors what we can do in here, but we have more options now. So this is a brand new space for us. But we have a couple of video examples and a couple shots of like, hey, there's a production that we created with a collaboration with the New York Historical Society. And this was right before COVID hit. But it was Ariana DeBose that's in that picture, and she's an Academy Award-winning actress. And she came into our studio, and we collaborated with the New York Historical to create an exhibit that went into their museum. So, and then just some examples of what we were doing with the green screen that we have upstairs. Now we have the LED wall, so that sort of changes the game for us.
So let's stop there for a second. Here, what we're seeing on the screen is Professor Joe Foy, who was being recorded at the time at that smaller studio upstairs, and you superimposed an image on the green screen. So that was kind of the previous way of doing recording. Now, let me stop sharing that particular screen and show us what does the LED allow you to do that it's an improvement versus that.
Right. So the improvement is that we're no longer doing that chroma key replacement. So the green screen is called, we call it in the video editing sort of timeline, it's called chroma key. And so we don't have to do that anymore. So what we do have to do is be ready with that visual before we start shooting, and we can put it on the video wall. And there's probably 3 or 4 different ways that we can get images up there. We have wireless ways, we have wired ways, so there's a lot of options for us to work here. But I think what really comes out great with this is the definition between the background and the foreground. So I'm in the foreground, and our background, it's a nice, clean separation.
Yeah,
and I think that really,
I don't see that green aura around you, like
exactly right. And yeah, like, or if you're using like Zoom or some of the virtual backgrounds will have like a little bit of cutting into your, sometimes your hair disappears and then comes back. When you're using a virtual background. Do you have any examples
of video that you can showcase on the LED background? Maybe one of the slides you have on your computer.
Oh yeah, you want to see a video back there?
Yeah, just to see movement on
yeah, absolutely. Let me just pull up. It's better if I play the video directly from my computer, just because you get a little bit better resolution. But
I'm wondering if, say, a professor is teaching a class and wants to bring some content from the web, say maybe a video about subject matter, then you could do it right like that. You could move to a side and let the students watch the video. Correct? You can also insert YouTube videos, proprietary videos, any form of media, basically.
Yeah, the one thing that we're finding with this is that the backdrop, I don't know if you noticed when we were looking at the slides, and maybe, I don't know if we can see it here, but sometimes we get a little bit of an artifact. I don't know if you can see that right here, that we get these things called amore lines. And so we've been, I don't know if can you see it?
I cannot.
Oh, okay. Oh, good.
So I guess the camera you're using is pretty good, so it doesn't show.
The camera's great, and the lens we have on is amazing. So we have been avoiding that. I think the challenge would be is if you wanted to show insert a new video, that we would just cut that in the edit.
Let me see if I do a close up. I might see. Can you play the video again?
Yeah.
Okay, so I might see a little bit of that.
It's like right, and it's in the lighter sort of. You can see it up here a little bit. It's in the lighter colors, and
it's barely noticeable.
It's barely noticeable. I think when we were looking at the slideshow earlier, I saw it earlier too. But so these are sort of like we've been doing in here is running tests to figure out what the best setting is to get that. You know, how far away are we? What aperture do we have? The shutter speed. You know, all those sort of pieces of the puzzle need to fit together to make it look spot on. I think what happens though is that if you start to hard focus on the screen, and if I were to step away, that you might see those effects even more. And so it's better just to insert the video into.
Now, does the camera know where to focus on you or focus on the video?
The camera's focusing on me right now. It's on like a continuous autofocus. So if I were to move around, it might change, you know, sort of the focus.
Got it. Now, I stopped by the studio earlier today, and I saw you recording content. Maybe you can use that as an example of the type of use we're giving the studios.
Yeah, absolutely. The kind of videos. Yeah. So typically, every course at SPS has at least a course overview video. You know, some sort of faculty introduction, and sometimes like a really short welcome, like, hey, this is the course, here's what you do first. And so typically and then we, you know, we're doing other more content related. We might do a series of 3 different kind of short lectures, that kind of thing. So those are the types of videos that we do mostly, or the course overview ones. Like those are being made for every new course that comes out here. Did I answer the question? Wait, what was the question?
Sure. Can you show us some more examples of the type of backgrounds that you have used?
Yeah, so
this is primarily for the use of the faculty, but it can also potentially be used to record sessions in which we provide advising or orientation to students or other student services. Like, for instance, we could have our financial aid director being recorded explaining the concept of financial aid and how to apply at the FAFSA. So we can use it for that as well. And we have actually 2 studios like the one you're using right now, correct? Are they identical?
I think the only difference, yes, they're identical. The only difference being the gear that's in each one. So right now we're using the Off-It field kit is what we call it. So it's the lights and the camera is that kit. The marketing has their sort of gear too, which is set up over there. So and we both are using both. So and we're all, you know, sharing each other's gear. So it's not like, hey, this is mine. You know, we have a great relationship with the marketing folks.
So if say a faculty member were interested in testing the system, the new studios, what would you recommend to the faculty?
Yeah, we have. It would be. I mean, I can give you my email, but you know, it's maybe better if we use the faculty support email. But really, it starts with just talking to them.
I can put it on the comment section.
Oh, would you? That'd be great. Yeah, it's facultysupport@sps.cuny.edu, and faculty support is all one word. And that email will alert us to say, hey, you know, this is a faculty at SPS, and we're interested in doing some video work. That'll get funneled to us, and we can then start talking about what your goals are for that video project. We've been talking with a couple different departments, like youth studies. We've been talking to the youth studies department about doing a series of like role plays where we have young actors, you know, sort of improvising a case scenario, like maybe a conflict resolution type of scenario. That's sort of, you know, that's just in the beginning phases of talk. I think the challenge will be in casting that. So we need some youth looking actors to be able to be on screen for that.
One other use I have seen is for that LED background to serve as a gigantic Zoom screen. So we have held meetings in that studio, and the participants, who typically on a Zoom desktop or in a desktop would look pretty tiny, they look almost real life size. So it's a great way to have more engagement on meetings. So that's also a way for our faculty to bring guest speakers to the class or guest lecturers to the class in a virtual form, but keep it more engaging and more attractive. So, what other uses do you think could be given to the student?
Yeah. So one thing that I've been talking to one of our faculty nurses, and she wants to do an interview series. I won't say who it is, just because we're still talking about it.
Good.
But she wants to create a series of basically sort of tackling, sort of similar to what we're doing here, but maybe 5 or 7 sort of interviews with other nurses about the most salient issues regarding safety and being, the care and, so I'm not a nurse, so I don't know the exact topics.
Right.
So that's something we're looking into. We also are launching our own media team is launching our own interview series coming soon. And so we'll be, I'll be talking to faculty about teaching and learning and, asking questions like, hey, what's going great in your class and how can we make that happen for other people? Sort of recognizing what's working well. And then my colleague Sharon is going to be taking the other side of the fence, the student side, and talking about student topics and what's coming up. When do I need to do X, Y, and Z with my enrollments or graduation, or being a student and lifelong learning. Like what does it mean, and sort of how does that play out for you as a student?
So now, let me ask you a question. Going back to this page, you said it sits in the CUNY Academic Commons. It is public. It's available to the public. You don't have.
It's a public website. Yeah.
Right. So you don't need to be a CUNY faculty member. You could be a faculty member from any university or any professional, for that matter.
You could be any person on the internet and look at this website. When you go to email us, the first question is going to be
what is the address for that website? Sorry to interrupt.
It's spsfaculty.commons.gc.cuny.edu. It's not the easiest.
Well, let me.
I can put it in the comments here.
Faculty.
Here, I can put it in the comments, I think.
Please.
Should I put it in the comments?
Yes, please. If you could, that would be great. Then I can copy.
Oh, wait, I haven't done the comments before. Here, wait. I've just, I put it in a private chat to you, Jorge.
Okay, I'll take it from the private chat.
Yeah.
And I will copy it. And we'll put it under the comments section. But
I gave you the link to basically the landing page of the site.
Wow.
Oh, that's the media studio.
A mouthful, but I'll leave it on for a little bit. So whoever wants to click on it, you can also see it on the comment section of my YouTube channel. Faculty support.
Sorry, oops, I think I clicked on the video.
gc.cuny.edu Media Studios. Excellent. Yep. So I imagine this is a website that you continuously populate with new information, with new tips, with new techniques.
Yeah. So we have a multimedia tab, and it's so anything multimedia related, we're updating that. We have sort of tutorials and guides for Blackboard, for Panopto, for all sort of different technology tools that we use at SPS. There's trainings and workshops, for SPS faculty. There's a section for e-portfolios, accessibility, a UDL. We have a newsletter that we put out about once a month during the semester that is sort of archived here. So yeah, a lot of stuff. And then on the home page for the site itself, we put up, announcements, what's happening. We have, let's see, the Ally, or it just came, our studio. We have Sarah's doing a presentation. This is a video that we shot upstairs for our, sort of the first in our series of interviews.
Nice.
So we have a lot of activity that's happening on the site.
So what if either a faculty member, a member of the staff, wants to learn more about how to use the studio? Do you provide any sort of training on best practices for recording content. For instance, body language, how to use your hands, how to look at camera, what type of dress code to use. That
Absolutely.
training.
Yeah. So when you book a time with us to record, you'll get a lot of information like that. But I think sort of that beginning conversation that we have with teachers is always around, hey, what's the goal of this video? You know, how can we get it down like a script that's going to be nice and succinct? We don't want to go over 8 minutes. You know, if you look at the Scholarship of Teaching and Learning around video, that 6 to 8 minutes is about the limit of what people will watch. It's going to have a fast pace. It's going to have lots of visuals. All these things make engaging video, but really starting in the beginning and figuring out what that goal is, and then having a script written, or at least an outline written, and then we can start to have a conversation about, what kind of video we're going to make. Are we going to do it here? Are we going to do it upstairs? Are we going to go outside on the street? That kind of thing.
You could actually, I would imagine, you could also include graphical interfaces, right? It could be graphics, it could be images,
oh yeah,
it could be.
So part of our media team will source open public domain images. We'll create some motion graphics. We'll what am I forgetting, Sharon? Sharon's one of our lead editors here. Like mastering a video so it has like the quality sound, and if there's color correction. During the pandemic, we did a lot of like work with folks remotely. So people were sending us their sort of raw video, and we would clean it up and give it back to them.
And what about post-production? Let's imagine I'm recording content for my course on entrepreneurship, say, and I'm using the LED background to show in real time, real life, the stock price, the ticker price for a company that we're studying, say. But at some point, I make maybe a remark that I would like to edit out, or I want to make a change. Do you provide support for that post-production editing as well?
Yeah, if it's a video that's going into one of our courses, then we will provide full support for that video. So if it's so we are editing video, we're shooting editing, we're starting with the beginning. We're pre-production. We're giving feedback on scripts. We're talking about set design, production design. We're in the studio, we're filming it. And then we're also carrying it through the post-production process, having a round of review with our developers to say, hey, do you want to make changes? And we'll, so it's full soup to nuts what we're doing with our faculty when it comes to video.
The other thing I saw that's pretty cool, right now we're in a very conversational manner. We don't have a script set. We're just having a conversation on the capabilities. But earlier this morning, when I visited the studio, I saw that you had a teleprompter. So the faculty could as well get help in terms of developing a script, even the narrative for the course, right? Not that all professors or faculty members would like that, but it's certainly something that is available if you rather follow a very strict guide or a very strict narrative.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say about using a teleprompter, having a script, is that it keeps you honest on the time. Mm-hmm. So I think taking that time, because it does take a lot of time too to write it, but knowing that you're going to be able to sort of hone that script to be a certain length, right? I think we tend to sort of, when we're doing something impromptu, we might go off on a few tangents, and anytime I've ever done an impromptu video, it tends to run long. And so I think the script is one way to really keep us honest and make it nice and concise.
Got it. Perfect. So as I anticipated, our half hour went by very, very quickly.
We blew right through it.
We're almost at the end, but I'm sure folks might be interested in reaching out to you. If someone wants to connect with you, do you have a preferred way to communicate with you?
Oh, I'm on LinkedIn, so I'm in there in LinkedIn. You're welcome to reach out to me through LinkedIn.
And that would be under Matt Lewis.
Yeah, it's right? Matt Lewis, and I don't know what, I don't know how to give my LinkedIn profile.
That's okay, but I'm sure if anyone puts Matt Lewis on a search in LinkedIn and puts CUNY, you will be
Here,
easy to
I can
locate.
pull mine up. I have it.
Do you go by Matt or Matthew?
I mean, officially it's Matthew, but I think I'm just Matt. Yeah, I'm just Matt Lewis
Matt,
on
yeah,
LinkedIn.
I see you there in the background. Let me just do a close up for you there.
Yeah, here.
Wow.
Stand to the side. Wait, I'll go this way.
A younger version of Matt Lewis.
Hey, are you saying I look old?
No. You look more experience is what you look. Excellent.
Let's see here. I think it's Matt's ID is my sort of handle. MATTS ID. So it's Matt's ID. But yeah.
Okay.
I'm on LinkedIn. I maybe should update my profile here with a banner. It looks pretty boring.
I will be giving a training on LinkedIn fundamentals soon. So if you would like to participate,
oh, I'm taking it.
I will be glad to do so. I've done it. I did it the last year. Oh, Ruru was so nice as to include it in the comments section on LinkedIn. So,
hey, Ruru.
There you go. See? Well, thank you so much, Matt. This has been great. Really enjoyed it. I can only anticipate you will be doing a lot of testing, a lot of experimenting with the LED background. I look forward to awesome material and content being developed. So for everyone who has joined us today, thank you so much for participating. We're going to have an interview hopefully every Tuesday. Next week, we're going to have our CIO, Chief Information Officer, Bronwyn Stein, in the interview series, and look forward to seeing you soon. So, Matt, best of luck. Thank you for your excellent and hard work. Sharon, thank you so much for handling the camera so aptly and professionally, and I will see you soon. Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.